go, baby!
All right. We are back here at Song of the Day, coming to you from the Rock Cave. I'm your host, Mark Pierce. It is Friday. You know what that means. Say it with me. Get it up here in the diaphragm. Say it with me. It is Octane Friday. And that's when we kick it up a notch and throw something at you a little bit heavier. What are we talking about today? How's your week going, by the way? Another great week here in the Rock Cave. We are on season 3, for those of you who are not in the know. Some new subscribers out there on YouTube, so welcome to the program. What are we cooking up today? Well, I still have to go through and look at everything I've covered in 3 years and fill in the gaps of some of the bands that I haven't covered yet, because I know there's stuff out there. And, you know, I did make a commitment to trying to concentrate solely on having a song of the day versus throwing whole albums at you. But today, we're going to talk a little bit about a whole album and do exactly what I said I wouldn't do. But I said I would do that as well. And it's Octane Friday, so come on. Without even looking back, I don't even think that we covered this record. I'm pretty sure we didn't, although some of you will hold me to task and find out if you really have to dig deep. But as you all know, all you regulars out there, I know who you are. I'm a big Van Halen freak when it comes to records. And I covered all their records, right? That's true. I covered all the David Lee Roth records. But for Sammy Hagar records, I think I only covered my two favorites, which was OU812 and For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. So that leaves some more records there. And then I thought, you know, it was like 80-something degrees yesterday here in New England. Started feeling like summer. Then I started thinking about music, and then this is what came to mind. And I think I know where I'm going with this. But today we're talking about the seventh Van Halen studio album. I think I got that right. But the first one with Sammy Hagar, 5150. I don't think I covered that. I do not think I covered it. So, anyone that was into music in the 80s, they probably know this story ad nauseum, but we're going to do a quick review. Van Halen's Top of the World. They are the biggest band on the planet. They play the US Festival to the tune of being paid $1 million. They put out 1984, song after song, hit after hit. Again, a behemoth, the biggest band on the planet. The record goes to number 2. That's important for later. It could not overcome Michael Jackson's Thriller, of which, of course, Eddie Van Halen's playing guitar on Beat It. They're huge, but behind the scenes, these guys hate each other. They're fighting. Diamond Dave is a lot. He's a handful. You can picture it, right? I mean, he was obnoxious frontman. As good as he was clearly obnoxious. He kind of had, around 1985, he dipped his toes in the solo waters and put out Crazy from the Heat, which was produced by Ted Templeton, who I believe he's the one who produced it. He also produced all their Van Halen records. But anyway, that may not be the fact. I know he produced the next one, I believe. Then comes along April Fool's Day, 1985. This is a joke, right? It's announced that David Lee Roth is leaving Van Halen. What? Devastation. Destruction. Rock and roll is dead. How can this even be? What? Impossible. This is the worst news I've heard since MASH was canceled. This is rough stuff, right? And not too much later, they announce that Van Halen's got a new singer and this Sammy Hagar fellow. What? Wrong, I say. This can't be. They cannot call themselves Van Halen. We'll get back to that in a second. But yeah, so I guess the story goes that Eddie Van Halen and Sammy Hagar shared a mechanic, and this is a true story, and that Eddie Van Halen says to the mechanic, yeah, Dave left the band even before it was public knowledge. And the guy said to him, he was thinking, well, I guess the order is, he was thinking it, and then Eddie Van Halen sees Sammy Hagar's Ferrari 512. He's like, oh, that's a nice car. He was having his Lamborghini fixed. He's like, whose car is that? He says, oh, that's Sammy Hagar's car. You should connect with him. He would be awesome in your band. And that's exactly what happened. Sammy Hagar, you forget, first of all, he was a singer of Montrose. And Montrose had opened for Van Halen in the early days. And then he got fired from the band. And then he went solo, and he had 3 platinum albums in a row. Remember, he did I Can't Drive 55, 3 Lockbox. He was already a self-made man. He was making a lot of money. But it was a perfect fit for Van Halen. The style, the front man, Southern California guys, just the whole thing. So they call him, and he's 37 years old in 1985, and he goes down to 5150. And remember, that's the studio of Eddie Van Halen, named after the police call for a mentally unstable person. And he says the place is a mess, beer bottles everywhere, half-drunk beer bottles, cigarettes, guitars on its side, smelled like an old bar. And he was like asking him questions, and it turns out he'd be making less money because they sort of knew how much money they were making, Van Halen did, but they spending it all, and he was just paying himself. But they started jamming, and he just started throwing words out, and they just knew. They knew that this was the right thing, and so he had an offer pretty quickly, but they had to go through some red tape. He was on Geffen. Van Halen was on Warner Brothers, and David Geffen wasn't about to give somebody his biggest artist basically up, but in the end he knew, and he did, and it cost him a lot of money. And they ended up working on this album, 5150, which went to number 1. Van Halen did not have a number 1 record until 5150. That one had to hurt for Diamond Dave. The fastest selling to 1 million copies, I think, is what one of the things they say. And it was just huge. That was a huge, huge record. Me, I was not having it. I was so stubborn. I mean, you want proof that the frontal lobe is not developed until you're 25? That's me in that year going, I refuse to listen to this music. It's not Van Halen without David Lee Roth. They should call themselves Van Hagar. What are they doing naming their band after their own last names, 2 of them? The nerve. But I didn't like the music because I was comparing it to Van Halen with David Lee Roth, and there's a reason. It was different, and I read a little bit about the difference. Ted Templeton, who had done all the producing of all the Van Halen records with David Lee Roth, he wanted their records to sound more live, so the guitars were in the left speaker. Eddie Van Halen tended to be on the one side, on the left speaker, like you would hear in a live recording. And you think about that because whenever you had remember, like, you'd be driving your car and you'd lose a speaker or something, and then sometimes you'd get like no either vocals or no guitar. Well, that's true on the Van Halen records, on many of them. If you lose one speaker, you only hear a little bit of guitar. You don't hear the main guitar. Apparently Eddie Van Halen didn't really care for that. And they brought in a new producer, Mick Jones of Foreigner, and they did guitar center, and it was just a very different sound. Anyway, I think that's part of it. And it just sounded, it didn't sound like the same as the earlier records. So I was very stubborn. Didn't listen to that first record. I didn't get into them until OU812, and that one totally won me over. And then over time, I would go back to 5150 and be like, all right, Sammy Hagar is an awesome front man. What a showman, what a guy. And I still feel that way to this day. And I would love to see him jamming with Perfect Circle, not Perfect Circle, Perfect, what are they called? Anyway, they're doing something. Just go to Cabo and see them play in a bar. That's the place you want to see Sammy Hagar play for sure. Drinking tequila in a bar, that's my dream. All right, so what we got? We're at 9 minutes here. Wow, I haven't done that in season 3. Why Can't This Be Love? Dreams, Love Walks In, Best of Both Worlds, all great songs. You can pick any of those for song of the day, but for me, it's the first song that he ever sang, just gibberish coming out of his mouth, and he started singing Summer Nights. What a great song this is. To kick off your summer, starting to feel that way out there, Summer Nights is your song of the day. Van Halen, 5150. Boom. Listen to it. Sorry for the 10 minutes, people. That's what you got today. I told you, some days nothing, some days a little bit, some days the whole enchilada. Today, enchilada, baby. Enjoy. Van Halen, 5150. What's your favorite song on this record? For me, it's Summer Nights. Have a good one, and as usual, I'll catch you on the flip side.